Hey guys, welcome back. In the final slide on density, we're going to look at this density column. This is really quite something. You can make one of these at home. You'll notice that most of these are commonly available materials. Some of them might be a little harder to find, like lamp oil, but the rest of them you probably have lying around somewhere. This is pretty, and you can certainly make this. You might have to putz around with it a little bit to get it to look nice and to have the sharp definitions. Sometimes the lines between two different substances can get a little blurry. But the reason I'm showing this to you is that although this is something you would do just for fun and to look nice, this idea that nature will separate itself into layers comes up over and over and over and over again. For example, the atmosphere is separated into some pretty distinct layers based on a number of things, but density is certainly one of them. The oceans, although there is quite a lot of mixing going on in any body of water, oceans are divided, sometimes with very distinct lines, into different densities. Here's one way you may have experienced that. If you've ever gone swimming in a lake in the summer, when you get in, especially if you get into a part of the lake that hasn't had a lot of people swimming in it, so there hasn't been much mixing, you may feel warm water on top, and then as you go deeper, all of a sudden, bam, you very suddenly hit a layer of colder water. That's an example of exactly what's going on here. The warm water and the cold water have, uh, how can you say, distinguished each other, or separated into two very distinct layers. And then finally, in the Earth, this happens again where we get some pretty distinct layers. You say, well, how do we know that if it's inside the Earth? This is a little bit interesting. Geologists are able to find these layers by the way that waves either bounce off of them or refract. In other words, bend, right? Maybe the wave is going this way, but then it hits a denser layer and it goes a little more vertical, right? And you say, well, what causes waves inside the Earth? Earthquakes are an obvious one, but another one is nuclear tests. Will make large waves inside the Earth. You may have seen headlines. I should say this video is being made in April of 2020. If you're paying attention to headlines these days, you may have noticed that geologists record less activity, less vibrating in the Earth because more and more people are staying home. That's another way that you would actually find out where these lines are that separate a less dense material on top from a denser material on the bottom. So this is common throughout nature.